Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear viewers and listeners, Assalamu alaikum. In this monologue, I am going to discuss chapter 112 of glorious Quran. This chapter of Quran is about unity of God, and its title is Purity. Unity of God is the essence of faith for all human beings. In the light of knowledge of Quran, denial of unity of God is the gravest sin which is unpardonable by God. It is important to understand the concept of one God in theology to properly comprehend the meanings of this chapter. In theology, the concept of God is generally understood in relation to certain attributes that can only be possessed by God. These attributes include 1. Omniscience, which implies that God possesses infinite knowledge without any constraints whatsoever. 2. Omnipotence, which implies that God possesses unlimited power for doing anything. 3. Omnipresence, which implies that God is present everywhere so that nothing is hidden from Him. 4. Omnibenevolence, which implies that God does everything in perfect goodness so that no fault can be attributed to anything done by God. 5. Divine simplicity, which implies that God is without parts. That is, the being of God is identical to the attributes of God. 6. Eternal, which implies that God was not created or born, but He exists from eternity and will remain so forever. It may be noted that the understanding of Quran tells us that attributes of God are unique to God alone. So there is no room for an anthropomorphic God in Islam. Islam also condemns henotheism because it is a type of refined polytheism. In the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful. Compassion and mercy are the two most overwhelming attributes of God that are mentioned in the Quran before the start of each chapter. The etymological meaning of compassionate is sympathetic. Compassion is really the act of going out of your way to help physical, spiritual, or emotional hurts or pains of another. It is superior to mere act of empathy. God is compassionate because He has created mankind as His deputy and made earth a comfortable dwelling place for mankind. The etymological meaning of merciful is forgiving. That implies that God forgives the sins of human beings and do not charge them instantly. In fact, all forms of compassion and mercy emanate from Him because He is the creator and sustainer of all life in this universe. And if He were not sympathetic and forgiving, all His creations would have perished instantly in this mortal world and would be at a loss in the hereafter. But He provides for the sustenance of all creations in this world and would show mercy and compassion to all creations except hardened sinners on the judgment day. Say He is God, the one and only. This verse of Quran confirms the principle of unity of God. This is the essence of Godhood, because if there are multiple gods, they cannot possess the attribute of omnipotence at the same time. For example, we can't say that there are multiple gods and all of them are all powerful. This would be a manifest absurdity, because then all gods will be interfering in each other's domain by virtue of being all powerful, and the whole system of universe will collapse instantly. Since omnipotence is a fundamental attribute of God, therefore God must be one to enjoy this quality for effective control of the universe. God the Eternal. One important feature of Godhood is that He should be eternal, with no beginning or end. Otherwise, He will Himself become a creation by someone else and may also cease to exist after an appointed time. This would be a great denial of Godhood, because a creation would be dependent upon his creator, as human beings are dependent and answerable to God. And if He is God for a fixed term, then who will succeed Him? So He can be called God. This verse of the Quran simply testifies the common sense based fact that God is the eternal God. He begot none, nor was He begotten. This verse of the Quran firstly reiterates the truth revealed in verse 2 above, that God was not begotten, that is, He was not created, rather He is eternal. Secondly, it also highlights the fact that God has no progeny. This argument is also based on common sense because God's progeny should be like God, that is, eternal and all powerful. But it would be impossible for any progeny to be eternal because he would be a creation at a fixed time. Besides, with the presence of progeny, the God will cease to be all powerful, and there will be no God but numerous gods interfering in each other's domain. Therefore, this verse of Quran simply corroborates this truth that God can neither be a son nor a father if He is the all-powerful God. No one is comparable to Him. This verse of Quran forecloses the possibility of any comparison between God and any other creation in any manner, including form and attributes of God. In fact, it is a rebuttal to the superficial beliefs of henotheism and polytheism that have always plagued the human society in all points and times under different pretexts. It also negates the idea of an anthropomorphic God in Islam. All attributes of God mentioned in the Quran are in absolute term, while human beings can possess those attributes only in relative term. For example, God is merciful, so can be a human being. But the fundamental difference is that God's mercifulness is infinite, while that of a human being is finite and limited with varying degrees. Similarly, all creations, whether human beings, animals, heavenly bodies, and so on, have a definite and fixed form of shape. But God does not have any form or shape comprehensible by any standard or yardstick. Therefore, nothing can be compared to Him. Now I summarize the theme of this monologue in the following words for reinforcement purpose. 1. There is only one God. 2. God is eternal with no beginning or end. 3. God has no father or son. 4. Nothing in the entire universe can be compared with God in terms of attributes of God. I conclude my monologue on purity with a prayer that Allah Almighty may bless this effort. Please do subscribe and share my channel for updates. It's absolutely free. Finally, do ask me questions to alleviate your concern about any related issue discussed in this monologue. Post your question in the comment section on my YouTube channel for a quick reply.